Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you also for framing this debate as it should be framed, which is our common interest in protection of our country, protection of our citizens. And although we may disagree in a lot of ways of doing it, the bottom line is we have the same objectives. My issue, sir, if I may call you my good friend, Mr. Higgins, is not with national security, it's with the way to approach it. I've lived most of my life near the border, native Californian. I've seen things change, rechange. And when I mentioned a border wall security concept that's 30 years old, I didn't mean that we'd stop working on it 30 years ago, but rather questioning its effectiveness moving forward. Post-COVID, China is no longer our top trading partner. Mexico is now our trading partner, the top. Canada tells me that the flow of goods and services into this country is unbelievable. And that's just based on yesterday's statistics from a month or two ago or 3 months ago. God knows what those statistics are going to be today. We're going to continue to trade with our partners. If we think about our border to stop refugees, border to stop illegal drugs, we're forgetting about the other borders in this continent. Mexico's southern border, Guatemala's border, the Darien Gap in Panama, where Panama's beginning to engage with us, is engaging with us in addressing that refugee flow in that very dangerous area. I mentioned Colombia, many other countries that are working with us. I would argue that border security is not our southern border. As General Kelly, the former Secretary of Homeland Security, would say, our border security does not start and end at our border. That's just the refugee challenge. Again, record number of refugees in the world as well as this hemisphere. Shifting to fentanyl issue. I've gone to the border numerous times since I discovered that I'd be the ranking member on this committee to educate myself on the facts. Go back and kick the tires to make sure that the policies that we're engaged in are going after the right elements. Talk to those border agents. I've gone to those ports of entry. Only 2%, 2 to 4% of the vehicles, passenger vehicles, are inspected, looked at when they go north. Something like 15% of the huge semis coming across the border are actually inspected as well. If you really want to put a dent on the illegal drug trade on fentanyl, go where that gusher is. It's our ports of entry. We can talk about gotaways all you want to talk about. When you look at the record seizures by our good men and women at the border, it's at the ports of entry. We all have priorities. We all have a limited number of dollars to spend. We can prioritize. Ms. Cooper, you've said a lot of things in your testimony. I have about a minute left here. But given the nature of the ever-evolving environment, how important is it that the U.S. engage, and I would call them now our allies south of the border, because their interest is like ours, commerce. Anything that slows down commerce, they don't want to see happen. So how would you say the new environment of integration of these markets, how does that factor into how we address refugees, illegal drug business? Thank you.
Ranking Member Correa, I believe you're flagging an important point with respect to the larger security strategy that CBP is engaged in. With respect to our relationships with many of our foreign partners, continued engagement with many of the countries you named, and certainly with others, are a critical part of our larger strategy. As you said, and we've said within CBP for many years, border security is not simply at the border, it begins far outside of that. And our continued collaboration at multiple levels of leadership with offices across many foreign partners is a critical layer of our strategy.
The gentleman yields. I now recognize my colleague, Chairman Bishop.